Welcome back, curious minds. Here's a riddle for you. Which model topped SWE-bench Pro, crushed Terminal Bench 2.0, and introduced a feature specifically designed for autonomous agents, but didn't make a single headline this week? If you guessed Qwen 3.6 Max, give yourself a treat. If you hadn't heard of it, well, that's exactly why we're here today. Alibaba's latest flagship just pulled off something remarkable. They launched the first closed weights model in Qwen's history. No open weights, no downloading from Hugging Face, and immediately claimed the top spot on 6 different coding benchmarks. That's not a fluke, that's a statement. So let me walk you through why this unassuming model might actually be the most practical AI coder released this year. Let's start with the numbers, because they speak louder than marketing. Qwen 3.6 Max scored 57.3% on SWE-bench Pro. That's the current #1 spot. For context, that's higher than GPT-5.4 and Claude Opus 4.6 on this specific test. It hit 65.4% on Terminal Bench 2.0. That's the benchmark that measures how well a model can execute real shell commands, navigate file systems, and debug in a live terminal environment. And on SciCode, Qwen showed a 10.8-point improvement over its predecessor. That's not incremental, that's a leap. But here's what makes this interesting. Qwen 3.6 Max is the first Qwen flagship to go closed weights. They're not giving away the model. This is a deliberate pivot from the open source champion to a proprietary competitor, and they're pricing it at roughly 1/4 of Claude's rate. Now here's the part that should make every developer perk up their ears. Qwen introduced something called the preserved thinking parameter. This allows the model's chain of thought reasoning to persist across conversation turns. Most models forget their reasoning after each response. You ask, they answer. The mental work is discarded. But with preserved thinking, an agent can maintain its plan across dozens of turns, debugging its own logic, building on previous decisions, staying coherent over long sessions. This is precisely what autonomous coding agents need. Imagine you're running a coding agent session. You want the model to remember why it made that architectural choice 3 hours ago. Preserved thinking makes that possible. At roughly $1.30 per million input tokens, Qwen 3.6 Max sits in a sweet spot. It's not the cheapest. DeepSeek still wins on pure cost, but it's far cheaper than the Western flagships while matching or exceeding their coding performance on these benchmarks. And with OpenAI and Anthropic API compatibility, you can drop it straight into your existing workflows. No migration required. So here's the takeaway. If you're building coding agents, if you're running automated development pipelines, if you need a model that can sustain reasoning across long sessions, Qwen 3.6 Max deserves your attention. It may not have the hype, but it has the numbers. If you're already using Qwen in your stack, drop a comment. I'd love to hear how it's performing. And if you want a deeper dive into any specific benchmark or use case, you know the drill. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's explore together. That's all for today, curious minds. Stay clever, stay curious, and I'll see